If you can hear your wheel bearings clicking or have noticed some play and instability in your day-to-day driving with your 2012 through 2018 four-wheel drive Ram 1500, this front wheel bearing and hub assembly set is a mod that you'll want to take a look into. Now, this is a great option for the Ram owner who has either been tough on their truck, whether it's on the work site or off-road, or has oversized tires and has started to notice that their hub assemblies or wheel bearings are just starting to go. Now, this is even an affordable maintenance item if you know that you need to replace some driveline items or some steering components on your Ram because of the age or how much you use it, and you want a complete set that comes with everything you need for a no questions asked install. Now, wheel bearings are just one of those components that gets downright abused, considering that they're subject to so much debris and micro contaminants that get into the bearings and cause them to fail, especially if you're taking your truck off-road or in the dirt or even on the beach where that small grainy sand can get into the bearing. Now, the wheel bearing itself can be a pain in the butt to replace, especially with an at-home job, so replacing the hub is much easier, and it allows for a total refresh, especially if there are other symptoms like play in the hub from on or off-road abuse that's causing some shimmying or instability in your handling. Now, the speed sensors can also take a beating and tend to break or rip, causing annoying lights on the dashboard, but this set replaces all of that and comes pre-assembled with wheel studs and the sensors already in place, making for a relatively straightforward swap. Now, these are OE style replacements, so you can expect similar quality with a machined high-strength steel construction. The studs, again, are pre-installed and match the OE thread to allow for reuse of your current lug nut. The speed sensor and the wiring is also pressed into the hub. It has some sheathing on it in order to protect it from heat or snags, and has an OE style connector on the other side, and even comes with additional pins to secure it into the factory mounting points for a direct swap. Now, this is about $325 for the pair, which is relatively affordable for a drastic improvement in drivability, especially after installation. Now, when looking at other choices in the category, this kit comes with both front hubs, an OE style construction, and the wiring harness included and pre-installed, and the entire thing is pre-assembled for you. Now, other choices may not include the harness. They may be sold separately or have slightly different builds, but if you're looking for a kit that comes with everything that you need for a total front hub refresh, then this is a great choice. Now, install here is a 2 out of 3 wrenches on the difficulty meter. I definitely do recommend some mechanical experience when it comes to this job. I do want to mention that the factory hubs, especially if they've been on there for a while, can be quite a pain to get off, so give yourself some extra time with this one. But if everything goes smoothly and you have the right setup, it should only take about 2 hours or so to get both of these installed. Now, at this point, I am going to hand it over to one of our installers. They're going to show you a detailed breakdown on how you can get your old hubs off and these new ones into place. So that's going to wrap it up for what I have to say. Let's go ahead and get into the install.
For this install, you'll need an impact, a 36mm socket, a 15/16 socket, a 21 and swivel 18, a swivel 21mm socket, a socket extension, a hammer, and an air hammer.
Today we're going to be installing a wheel bearing on our Ram 1500. Let's get into it. First, we're going to disconnect our wheel speed sensor. So you just pull back on this red tab, push, pull, and we're just going to unclip it from the brake hose. We can just put it off to the side. Then we're going to take a 36mm socket and an impact and loosen this nut right here. Then we're going to loosen our outer tie rod. So to loosen this nut, we're going to need a 21mm socket and an impact. Next, we're going to whack right here with a hammer to get our outer tie rod out. Next, we're going to remove the caliper and the rotor, and to do that, we're going to need a 21mm swivel socket and an impact to remove these 2 bolts right here. Make sure when you take this top bolt out, you're supporting it, because if not, it's going to fall off. We'll just take this, hang it off to the side, and then pull our rotor off. Then we're going to remove the upper ball joint. So to do that, you're going to remove this nut right here with a 21mm socket, a swivel extension, and an impact. And then we're going to hit it with a hammer right here to loosen the upper controller. After that, we're going to take an 18mm swivel socket, socket extension, and a swivel socket extension and an impact. We're going to remove these 3 bolts back here. So I know that might have been a little bit hard to see, but I'm going to show you with the new wheel bearing where these bolts were, just in case you were lost. So we had one here, here, and here. I have this situated exactly how this one's sitting right here. Well, now I do. And you just take your 18mm socket and impact and just loosen it like that. So one here, here, and here. You got a little triangle right there. Now we're going to take the wheel bearing off. And to do this, we're going to need an air hammer or a hammer or just something to strike the back. Since this is a Northeast car, it's going to be very hard to take this out. Now, if you live on the West Coast, congratulations, you can just pull it off with your hand. It's that easy. So first, we're going to remove our nut for the axle. Then I'm going to take my air hammer and I'm going to strike the back like this until it comes off. Take this and put it aside. Now it's time to put on the new wheel bearing. So to do this, we're going to grab our dust shield. We want to make sure our wheel bearing is sitting like this with the wheel speed sensor poking out like that. Just bring it through like this. And then we can just put our wheel bearing in. And we'll take our bolts, we'll just line up the hole and screw them in by hand. Make things a little bit easier while we're lining this up, just take your nut for the axle and just put it on there. And just kind of shift this around a little bit to make sure this catches threads. It's a little bit hard to kind of get them all lined up, but just take your time. And again, I'll show you just in case you're a little bit lost. This is how the wheel bearing's sitting. We're putting a bolt up here, bolt down here, and a bolt right here, along with lining this dust sheet on. Now it's time to tighten down our bolts, and we're going to be using a swivel socket, a socket extension, and a swivel socket extension with an impact. Now we're going to put on the rotor and the caliper. So to do this, we're going to put up our upper control arm. Want to screw our nut in right there, just to make sure that it's steady. Now it's time to put on the rotor and the caliper, and to do that, we're going to need to loosely put in our upper control arm. Just going to put that on a couple threads. Then we're going to put on our rotor, and followed by our caliper. So we're going to screw in these 2 bolts right here in these holes. And to tighten this down, we're going to use a 21mm socket, a socket extension, and an impact. Now we're going to connect the outer tie rod to the knuckle, just like that. We're going to put our nut on. And to tighten this down, we're going to use a 21mm socket and a swivel extension. We're also going to do the same with this nut right here. After that, we're going to take a 36mm socket and an impact, tighten down the axle nut. Lastly, we're going to connect the speed sensor to the plug. So we'll route it up here like this. Connect it there. Flip it in here. And connect these two together. Once you've installed this side, do the same process on the other side.
Alrighty, that about wraps up this review and install of the front wheel bearing and hub assembly set for 2012 to 2018 Ram 1500 four-wheel drive. Thank you for watching, and remember, for everything Ram 1500, keep it right here at AmericanTrucks.com.